Hey everyone, Connie here, and this is a bit of a different video than you might be used to seeing. This is why I don't like Attack on Titan anymore. It's basically this is a video I'm going to be going over my thoughts on the series of Attack on Titan, kind of as a whole, um, based on like what I know up to where I've gotten and what I know based on after where I've gotten. Um, and keep in mind that this is just my opinion, my view of things. If you like Attack on Titan, that's perfectly fine. If you are really hyped for season four as it's coming out, that's awesome. And I encourage that. This is just my opinion. And also keep in mind, this is an anime only opinion. I don't read manga. So if anyone's seen this who's a manga reader, just don't bother like attacking me for that because I'm not going to read the manga. I don't read the manga for anything, not even my favorite shows like One Piece. So it'd be a waste of your time. Um, Even if things are better explained or whatnot or better presented in the manga, it's not going to change things for me. So just don't waste your time. But I do want to share my thoughts on this because of season four being out and everything. It's the final season in terms of the anime and everything. And I just kind of want to share my thoughts because for those of you who have been on the channel for a while, you know I tried reacting to season three and then dropped it. And the reason I dropped it was because I wasn't liking it. And we're going to get to that. But let's start from the beginning. So when Attack on Titan first came out, the anime, again, mind you, when the anime for Attack on Titan first came out, I checked it out and I really enjoyed it. I thought the animation at the time, which I think was 2012 when it first came out, the animation at the time was some of the best we've seen in all of anime. Um, but on top of that, the story was interesting. You had this walled city, this giant city surrounded by three walls, each one holding a different class of people, basically. And they were under constant attack by these creatures called Titans. These giant humanoid creatures who would eat them and stomp them and rip them up and just basically be these horrific monsters they had to deal with constantly. They had a military force who would go out like outside the walls to deal with them. They had um they had people who would deal with them if they got too close to the walls. And the thing is, for a long time, everything seemed to be fine. But then the Colossal Titan or Colossus Titan, I've heard it. I've heard. I think in the anime they call it Colossal Titan, but I think it's actually called the Colossus Titan. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but anyways, he appears and everything kind of starts to change really rapidly, really suddenly. Um, and throughout the first season, I enjoyed it. There were some issues; it wasn't perfect, but I enjoyed it. I liked the story. I liked the idea behind it. Even though Aaron's entire quest for vengeance, which was kind of the driving point of the first season, um, it was basically centered around that Aaron's quest for vengeance because of the Titans killing his mother and everything. So even that, which is very like edgy kind of thing, it's like, ooh, we're on a quest for vengeance. It's like, oh, it's like the big edgy kind of plot point and character motivation you can give in a anime um, these days. Um, Honestly, it's kind of silly, but if it's done well, it can be done really well. So I was watching and I was enjoying it, but then the second half got kind of slow. It just really slowed down and just it started to lose me a little bit, but not completely. And then years later, season two came out, and season two was phenomenal. Season two improved on pretty much everything on the pacing, on the characters, the story. It all seemed really exciting. Like at this point, we had already seen the Titan shifters. We already knew people could turn into Titans. We didn't know the reasoning or anything for it at the time. But we started seeing more of them and we started getting more information. Season two also did a lot of big reveals for us and had a lot of great action, a lot of great moments. But then season three came along and it just kind of lost me. See, season three, at least its first half, was focused so much on the political and lore side of things that it felt like, honestly, it just felt like the entire first half was an exposition dump. Like, the best parts of the series, for me at least, were lost in that entire first half of this, in the entire first half of season three. And I became apathetic towards it to the point where I just didn't want to watch anymore. I didn't care. I didn't care about what was happening. I didn't care about any of that stuff. And also, it started to get really complicated, like just really complicated. Like, they started bringing in all this information, all this like big lore about where Titans came from and the history of the Titans, the history of Titan shifters and stuff. And it just became too much. It just became too much for me to personally get behind, to get invested in. Um, and again, for me at least, it felt like it was entirely like just this giant exposition dump the entire time, and it felt boring. I just didn't care, and especially when the exposition that they're dumping just made things less entertaining for me for the series. And so I dropped it at that point. And I caught glimpses of it here and there when my father-in-law was watching it on the TV, um, on Toonami and all. But I never really picked it up again. And mind you, I've heard bits and pieces of everything from that point forward. I know the gist of very like minor points of it all, but I get the gist of where things have gone and where like the bigger story, the bigger picture of everything. Um, just from where the series is at and beyond. And I don't even know like at the point of season two, like I don't know what everything that was revealed in the second half of season three was. I don't know what bleh, I cannot speak. I don't know everything that was revealed in the first couple episodes of season four that have aired. So there's stuff I know that might actually not have been revealed in the anime yet. But I know the gist of certain things, and it's like this is dumb. Like this is just dumb. Um, I liked it better when we didn't know the origins of the Titans. I liked it better when things were a lot more simple. But once it started turning into basically like, oh, there's this grand conspiracy shit going on, this like huge political structure behind everything that that this city, this kingdom that we've followed for the entire series is this isolated little thing in the world, and the rest of the world is still like completely habited and stuff, inhabited. And it's like, what? It just came across to me as too much. Like it came across as one of those series that just it tries to be this grand political um story about like intrigue and corruption and all of this like huge big uh stuff. Like I don't know how else to put it. That it just became too much for me. It became boring, it became uninteresting, it became bland. I liked it better when we didn't know the origin, when we didn't know the truth about everything because it was more interesting, it was more exciting. And hell, I honestly think it would have been more interesting if there was like maybe some kind of honestly disease or unknown method on which the Titans were created. Like it was like it would never actually be fully revealed. It was just some unknown thing that caused it to happen, and that certain people had figured it out, but like wouldn't like reveal it. I think that would have been in the end more interesting, even if it wouldn't have had this big, grand, epic scale like war or shit happening. Like all this stuff with the Marlians and the Eldians and all of that, and the history of how it all went down, and it's too much for me personally. Like a lot of these shows that I notice, well, series because of the manga as well. A lot of them that are really popular tend to have these really like overly complex stories, and a lot of times the ones I tend to like the most are very simplistic. Like even One Piece is very simplistic when you think about it. It has a very simple, dedicated story that with a bunch of stories within it. And none of them are overly complicated. All of them can be easily figured out really quickly, easily understood just like that. There's no issue with that. And it's like not every story is on the same level in One Piece, but still, it all feels like a natural progression, and it all feels like everything fits in terms of what where the series started. It doesn't feel out of place. It doesn't feel like it just suddenly became something bigger. It always felt like it was supposed to be as big as it is. And like other stuff I tend to really like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Again, really simple. It's easy to follow. And it's like the stuff that a lot of people tout as some of the best anime stuff like Code Geass and Neon Genesis Evangelion and whatnot that I can't get into. It's because they're so fucking complicated. They have this dense structure to them, all these like dense weaving storylines. And a lot of them try to like send some kind of like big message to them that just gets lost with the like overly, I don't want to say pompous, but overly I'm just going to say complicated, overly complicated way they present everything. And honestly, Neon Genesis Evangelion is very pompous. Let's be honest. There's another word for it I was trying to think of too, but I can go with pompous. Self righteous, I guess you could say. Code Geass less so, but still pretty much. And I know I'm gonna piss off a lot of fanboys and fangirls for saying that. But still, it's all opinion. But yeah, it's just I never fully got the hype that people are experiencing from season three and onward. And if some of you really love like this stuff for Attack on Titan, really love this political intrigue and all this depth that's been added, like if you love that stuff, that's awesome. But it just completely took me out of what excited me about this series in the first place. The stuff I loved kind of became second nature to this show. The things that got me hooked into Attack on Titan originally basically took a huge backseat to everything that the stuff about the series I didn't like originally. So it's like it really focused too much on this on in what in my opinion were the negative aspects of the first season, um, and really just toned down the best aspects, which really sucks in my opinion. But again, I know like obviously the manga was like this as well, so I'm sure. So I'm not like saying that it shouldn't have done that necessarily. I mean, I think they should follow the source material. um, but still, that doesn't mean that I have to like it. And just because it's popular doesn't mean I have to like it. Just because it's well received and critically acclaimed doesn't mean I have to like it. I don't like where it's gone. I think the series has just gone in directions that just not only don't interest me, but actively turn me away from it. And I understand that that's just me. I understand that it's just me. Well, maybe some other people feel the same way, but I understand this is my opinion that it's not going to equate to everybody. I know that a lot of people, again, are still going to love this, and I encourage that. As I've always said, that I encourage people to enjoy series that I hate because it shows that those series still have an audience and that people can love and be passionate about the series even when I can't. That's awesome. I love that. So it's like, yeah, I want people to still enjoy Attack on Titan just because even if I don't. I just like to share my thoughts. I like to share my opinion on it, just to let people know where I stand with something. So yeah, those are the kind of reasons I don't really like Attack on Titan anymore. Um, it's pretty simple. It boils down to just it focused on the wrong stuff for my personal tastes. It just it just became too much, too complicated, too self righteous in a way. Um, though not as much as other series, mind you, but it just became something I didn't want Attack on Titan to become. And I really, really am sad about it. Because again, I really liked season one and I loved season two. But those are just my thoughts. If you want to hear my thoughts on any other anime series, just some quick thoughts on why I like a series or why I don't, um, yada yada, please feel free to suggest anything. Um, if you have any thoughts for something, I could do definitely more of these. There's plenty of series out there, especially popular ones that I don't like, or even ones that I think are overrated, but I still do like. Um, Cowboy Bebop is a big one for that. I mean, I like Cowboy Bebop, but it's super overrated. Same with Gurren Lagann, actually. Um, but yeah, there's plenty of other shows I could do this kind of like just these thoughts videos on. So if you have any suggestions or want to hear specifically my thoughts on a specific series or whatnot, please feel free to suggest something. Um, Obviously, if I haven't seen it, then I can't give you my thoughts. But you know, um, either way, either way, thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.